Yeah, we are Vanilla Fudge, and we want to welcome you to Jam and Java. and our buddy, my Hammond brother, Robbie Robinson.
Hey everybody, did you know that Robbie calls us his favorite band? And guess what? He's got great taste. Keep on rocking. This is Vinnie Martell and the Vanilla Fudge.
Let's come on a piece. Sit back and turn it up and get ready for a jam-packed show.
Hey, this is Pete Remy of Vanilla Fudge. Keep it rockin', keep it groovin'. Vanilla Fudge style.
Robbie Robinson, yeah. From Litchfield, Illinois, yeah.
Enjoy the show.
Well, hello, everybody, all you jammers out there. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me on this Monday night, March the 16th. We are in the middle of March, and we're on that road to Easter, and wow, time is flying fast. Let's see who is in the chat. Well, hello, Daryl Love. Thank you for coming into the show, my friend. I appreciate you joining us. I see Bob Sneed, my buddy from Litchfield. I love the fact that Mark Stein, the birthday boy, by the way, Mark Stein introduced me as from Litchfield. I am very proud of my roots, and that would be Litchfield, Illinois, in the southern Illinois. And by the way, tonight we are going to Chicago, baby, because we are going to take a look at the music, all those hitmakers that came out of Chicago in the mid-'60s. And with our buddy Dave Zane from the Buckinghams is going to join us. Daryl Love says, the amazing Patty McGill brought me here. Well, thank you, welcome. And hello, Patty McGill, thank you for joining us. Tom Grable, I know the weather's been really crazy back east in the Midwest as well, so I hope you guys are doing okay out there. KP Lynn, who's been such a great support for this show, and thank you for all you do. Let's see here. Who else we've got? Lynette. Well, Lynette Case, I don't know if Lynette is there, but I know David Case is there. Oh, David, from the Jersey Shore. Shore O'Rourke is there. Teresa Pecorelli. Is that Lou? Are you related to Lou Pecorelli, who my buddy from Atlanta? I'm very curious. Rosalind Schelt. George, music for nice intro. Oh, yeah, thank you, sir. Steve Zemko, another Four Seasons expert. And Piano Pete, my buddy from St. Louis, Brother Pete. So, yeah, we're going to Chicago tonight. There is so much music that came out of Chicago in the 60s, and there's really a sound there. And horns were always integral to most of those groups that came out of there. Of course, the ultimate is the band Chicago. We all know that. But I'll tell you what, we've got so much show to do tonight, and I think we should bring in Pastor Chuck and let him lead us in prayer, because we always start every show with a word of prayer. Not a bad thing to start with, and no matter what you're doing. So come on in. The resident chaplain, the best-selling author, Pastor Chuck Pearson. Here we go.
Thank you, Robbie. Good evening, jammers. Hope you've all had a great day. I'm playing with some new equipment tonight, and we're still remodeling. Fun and games going on. At any rate, you're probably not familiar with the word Schadenfreude. In case you think it's German, it is. It's a phrase that can loosely be translated as taking pleasure in another person's misfortune. And it's a great phrase that really sums up what we do sometimes. We take pleasure in the misfortune of other people. In Psalm 31, verses 11 through 15, David writes, "Malicious witnesses rise up. They ask me of things that I do not know. They repay me evil for good. My soul is bereft. But I, when they were sick, I wore sackcloth. I afflicted myself with fasting. I prayed with head bowed on my chest. I went about as though I grieved for my friend or my brother. As one who laments his mother, I bowed down in mourning. But at my stumbling they rejoiced and gathered. They gathered together against me. Wretches whom I did not know tore at me without ceasing. All of us have had the feeling of being betrayed or wounded deeply, stabbed in the back. All of us have had people who have used us to their advantage, gotten what they wanted from us, and then discarded us. Chad Bird, in his book Untamed Prayers, reminds us of the grievances we have all expressed, maybe saying something like, after all I've done for you, right? The implication is we've done a lot and they don't appreciate, or perhaps they use what we've done against us. As I said, we're guilty of that too. How many of us want to see some person, perhaps in the political arena or at work, get what's coming to them? How often do we rejoice, as my father used to say, when someone gets their upcomings or their comeuppance? Beloved, we're a part of the problem. We may not know the word but we felt Schadenfreude ourselves. Holy Week is coming up in a couple of weeks, and with it the story of everything that Jesus went through on Maundy, Thursday, and Good Friday. He truly experienced the Schadenfreude of his enemies. He literally had malicious witnesses rise up against him. They literally repaid him good with evil. And how did Jesus respond? He didn't repay evil with evil, and he didn't strike back. The Apostle John writes in his Gospel, "For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him." That's John 3:17. When Jesus was nailed to the cross for your sins and mine, he didn't look down from the cross and say, well, you know, after everything I've done for you, you crucify me? No, he said, Father, forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing. He knew what was happening. He knew why it had to be done. He offered his life as the atoning sacrifice for our sins, so that we, by faith, might become the children of God. Please pray with me. Father in heaven, forgive us for the times we take joy in the failure of others, even if it seems to us that they deserve it. Help us to have the compassion and mercy you have shown us in the person of your Son, Jesus Christ, who did not repay evil with evil or rejoice in the suffering of his enemies. Instead, he prayed for them and us. Father, without his loving sacrifice and your mercy, we are by nature your enemies. And yet you have made us your children and your friends. Help us to show the love and mercy to others that you have shown to us. Bless this evening's program. Father, may everything we do in life honor you. In Jesus' name, amen. So back to you, Robbie. Have a great evening, everyone. God bless.
Thank you, Pastor Chuck, for that good word here. So we always start after he does his prayer. Then my normal process, more modus operandi, is to play a Christian song from Robbie's records. And tonight I'm going to play a song that, well, it's actually not on Robbie's records, but it could be sometime soon. This was done with a young lady named Mandy Pinto, and with a great band, and it's got that horn sound I thought would be appropriate for tonight. So check this out. This is what all Christians are called, and that is to be salt and light. And this is Mandy Pinto and a super cool all-star band. So if I can pick it up here. Here we go. It goes like this. Check it out.
Come to be the light of the world. Oh, my baby. Salt and light. be soul and light. Soul and light. Every moment of every day, we must bring hope in a brand new way. Take the time to reach out to the world. People, let's spread the joy of Christ all over. Soul and light. Called to be the light, light of the world. Soul and light. Living in the way of the Lord. Shine out the love before all men. Let every nation rejoice in Him. Rejoice in Thee. Salt and light. No one knows how much longer we have to tell the good news to those who need it most. All I wanna do is share His love to all of His creation. Salt and light. Call to be the light, light of the world. Salt and light. Living in the way of the Lord. Shine out the love before all men. Let every nation rejoice in Him. Be salt and light. All I wanna do is share His love with everyone. Call to be the light of the world. Salt and light. Living in the way of the Lord. Shine down the love before all men. Let every nation rejoice in Him. And be salt and light. Be salt and light. Salt and light. Salt and light. Salt and light.
That gets funky out there. That band, that's Zorro on drums. My brother Rex Robinson on bass. Fino Roverado on guitar. Who else was in there? The horns were Bones Malone on trombone, Warren Ham on saxophone, Harry Kim on trumpet, Zorro on drums. I think I said that. And Andrea Hammond and Eddie Hedges on backgrounds. So, yeah, that does get funky. So a little bit of business here, housekeeping, as I guess you might call it. First of all, next week, what a night we're going to have. Next week is a big birthday bash. My buddy, my songwriting partner, Doc Kupka, has a big birthday next week, and we're going to have a very cool birthday bash. So if there's anybody that's a Tower of Power fan, we're going to celebrate He's Still a Young Man, Mr. Doc Kupka's birthday. And he is actually going to come into the studio. So we're going to be hanging out here all night. Any questions that you have about how these guys got started, Tower of Power, I can tell you the birthday for Tower of Power was August 13th, 1968. That's when Doc got together with Emilio, and they created the band Tower of Power. John Kratzer, you should come on next week, brother, because we're going to be all about the horns next week, and thank you for that, yes. Yeah, pretty good horn section we've got there. Bones, Warren, and Harry on horns on that last song. So, next week. Now, we have a couple other birthdays this week that I have to acknowledge. Number one, let's go. Well, I think you guys know who this is. Happy birthday. I think it's 85, if you can believe that. These rockers are getting older, but they're continue to rock. The great Mike Love, who basically has kept the Beach Boys going. And there, Carl and I are backstage with him. But this album cover, this is important to me, and I want to share it. And I've talked about this before, but just in case you haven't caught it, this album is the very first record that I ever got. Not this literal album, but this is the album that was the first album that I ever got. My parents got it for me for Christmas. And I have been blessed to get it autographed by 3 of the remaining, well, there are 5 Beach Boys on this record. You can see from left, well, I can't even see it. It's, of course, Dennis Wilson. There is David Marks, Carl Wilson, Mike Love, and Brian Wilson. Al Jardine was not on this record. This was David Marks before. And here is the record itself. And so I've got Brian, who autographed it. And as I showed you here, Brian autographed it. Mike Love autographed it. Brian Wilson has autographed it. And David Marks has autographed it. And so that is definitely a great heirloom for me. But happy birthday to Beach Boy Mike Love. Yesterday was his birthday, March the 15th. All right, and now there's another birthday here that I want to acknowledge, and that birthday would be one of my big heroes in music and my big heroes of Hammond organ, and it's Mr. Mark Stein from the Vanilla Fudge. I will read this because this is, as a Hammond organist, I've been shaped by 3 major influences. And if you know me at all, you know that Hammond organ is central to my whole musical being. One of those 3 major influences is Mark Stein. Back in 1968, I went to see the band Vanilla Fudge with Mark on lead vocals and Hammond organ. That night didn't just inspire me, it turned my whole musical universe upside down. From that moment on, there has been a little bit of Mark Stein and Vanilla Fudge in every note that I play. March 11th was my hero's birthday, and let me tell you, he is sounding better than ever, both vocally and on the organ, big time. So happy birthday, brother Mark Stein. If any of you get a chance to go hear Mark Stein and Vanilla Fudge, go do it, because those guys, they were just such major influences for all the musicians, because they all four of them were virtuoso musicians. And I've since become friends with them, and it's really always surreal when your heroes become your friends. But indeed. So happy birthday to Mike Love. Happy birthday to Mark Stein. Let's see, a couple other points of business I think we need to do here, and that is there were a couple major events yesterday. The Oscars. I don't know if any of you watched the Oscars. I had it on over here on my other laptop here while I was working, and so I kind of watched a little bit of it. But I always have a lot of friends who are in the Oscar in the Oscar orchestra. And the orchestra, you're talking about LA's finest musicians. And there's a list of all of the orchestra. A bunch of these guys are friends of mine who have played with us with Frankie or played on records with me or whatever, And so the LA music community is a small community. There I'm with Sal Lozano, who was playing lead alto and all the woodwinds. And that's, of course, Gary Swan over there. Dan Fornero, brilliant trumpet player. Here's the Oscars trumpet section for this year. That's left to right, Dan Fornero, Wayne Bergeron, and I don't know that gentleman right there. That's his last year, I think. Same guys. But Rick Baptist, who's been on this show, and if you've watched this show at all, by the way, this show, I've realized this is almost like a history of rock music. You can go back. I have over 5 years of shows every week, and they're all archived on YouTube. And so check them out if you want to go back. See, there's Rick Baptist, who was a guest on this show a couple times. A dear friend, the big guy in the middle. John Kratzer, who's a great trumpet player from Texas, who. Yeah, he is a legend, Rick Baptist. He's played on over 1,000 movies and 2,000 records and stuff. And he played 25 years as the lead trumpet player in the Oscars. There he is back in the day, too. And so there's another shot of the Oscar orchestra. So kudos to all of you Oscar guys out there. One more thing. Billy Joel had a big tribute on March 12th a few days ago. And the music director was my buddy David Rosenthal, and they were at Carnegie Hall. And how cool is that? It's and there's David, musical director, and there was there's the list of all the people who performed with Billy Joel in the audience. This was a tribute to him. But look at that, Itzhak Perlman. And so kudos to you, my friend David Rosenthal, my Hammond brother. There's David and I. Look at that. Itzhak Perlman. They're playing the music of Billy Joel. And look, there's David overlooking him behind on the keyboard. Super cool. Carnegie Hall, Billy Joel. Bravo. Kudos to you again, David Rosenthal, who acted as the music director for that whole thing. So that's, I think, everything. One more thing, point of business before we move into the next segment of the show, and that is all of our shows are, as I mentioned, archived on YouTube. So that's how you get there. Just go to the Jam and Java YouTube channel. You can see and I've got a couple clips that I'm going to be playing a little later tonight as we're talking about the Chicago Hitmakers. And interviews that I've done and all kinds of fun things. So if you want to go there, and you could actually spend about a month probably. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Amen. No question about it. And let's see here. So that's that. And I think, well, one more point of business. I have been preparing music to be released on Robbie's Records. We have 4 releases now in the pipelines. There is one of them. You may have seen us because I've played bits of this here and there through the years. We're going to do an instrumental version of December 63. I got the thumbs up from Bob Gaudio just a few days ago on this. And Lee Shapiro, my predecessor as the music director for Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. He was in the 70s Four Seasons and on all those hit records of Oh, What a Night. Me, Jerry Vivino, who played with Frankie Valli through the years, brilliant, and Richie Gate Garcia, who also played. So 4 of us alumni got together and did our instrumental version of December 63, and that's going to be released soon and very soon on Robbie's Records. Speaking of soon and very soon, we're going to release soon and very soon with Tony Galla and Ray Reynolds. That's coming in here in the next few weeks. And also Ask Him in the Morning, Robbie Robinson, Doc Kupka featuring Sarah Nimitz. That is in the pipeline now. We just finished the mix. And then there's one more. We're going to have another song by Olivia Leidenbarker. So we've got 4 things in the pipeline coming off at you the next few weeks. There you have it. All right. Let me start this next segment I want to play a little video for you. And instead of me introducing my buddy David ZANE, I am going to play a video and let his musicianship do the talking. So, all right, everybody, get ready. If you're anywhere from Chicago, this is going to be super special. But there was a sound that came out of Chicago in the mid-'60s and still resonating today. Well, here we go. Check this out.
That boy took my love away. He'll regret it someday. This boy wants you back again.
As Carl from the Buckinghams just mentioned, Mr. Dave ZANE. So I want you to put your virtual hands together to all you jammers out there. And we're going to bring on my friend, Dave ZANE from the Buckinghams. All right, let's hear it.
Hey.
They love it, David.
Love it. I look kind of like the picture, except with glasses. You know, I can take them off, but I can't see
whatever
you,
works.
So.
Hey, how you doing, my friend? Thank you so much for spending some time with me tonight.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of yours, you know, and I'm a big fan of the show. So God bless you, and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, God bless you, my brother. You're also a brother in the Lord, and I love that.
I
That's
am.
another thing I love about you. And one of the things I've gotten to know is a lot of the Christian brothers around the country who are musicians who play in the rock and roll business, but they're Christian brothers and sisters, and that's kind of a cool thing. But
oh yeah.
So the Buckinghams, what a group.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in 7th grade when Kind of a Drag came out, you know, so I was a little bit behind, you know, but
Sure.
I loved it. I loved all that stuff. I listened to WLS and listened to all those songs from the '60s. When I was a kid. Yeah,
Well, now you're immersed in that whole because your guys. Well, no, before the Buckinghams, you played with the Crying Shames and
yeah,
the Outsiders, which are not really a
yeah.
Chicago band, but they depict that sound.
They did. They did. Yeah, the Outsiders was. The Crying Shame started for me in 2002,
Uh huh.
and yeah, I was with them for about 5 or 6 years, and then we did a show in Maumee, Ohio. I think it was a Stranahan Theater or something like that over there, and Sonny was on that show. The Buckinghams were on that show.
Uh huh.
Question Mark and the Mysterians and Jimmy Sons from the Shadows of Night, another Chicago guy from with Gloria. And yeah, Sonny approached me at the end of that show and offered me the gig with him. So I
Wow.
moved from the Crying Shames to the Outsiders then. Yeah,
Well, let's talk about the Crying Shames for starters, because they
sure.
were one of
Yeah,
the, I mean, there was a whole bunch of groups. I mean, we're talking about the Buckinghams, we're talking about the Crying Shames, we're talking about the New Colony Six, we're talking about, of course, CTA, the Chicago Transit Authority from back then.
oh,
Here
yeah.
I've got a list of some of the other groups, but the Crying Shames were one of the early groups, and they had great vocals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I heard stories that they'd play this Shadowland Ballroom in St. Joe, Michigan.
Uh huh.
And I'd hear that before the show, they'd just be walking around stage like they were stagehands. And all of a sudden, they just stop. And I thought I heard, and on a magazine, I want to meet you, and they just went
Wow.
into all that harmony and just freaked people out. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they
And I've
had
heard that
great.
story from a few people. Yeah.
And I think in many ways that you can relate them to the Four Seasons, because they had a lot of complex harmony there.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
that moving counterparts and stuff, which is kind of cool. Now,
Yeah.
you're obviously a great singer and a great
Oh,
guitar
thank
player.
you.
Um,
Thank
tell
you.
us how you got started as a singer, or was that just something you did ever since you were a kid?
What's weird is I never thought I'd be a singer. Never,
Huh.
never thought I'd be a singer. I started out on guitar, and a few bands I was in, they needed somebody to sing backup parts, and I just did minor backup parts. But seemed like they always had a better singer, and it's like, man, I'll never be able to sing like that. I'll never be
Wow.
able to do that. And then as I kept playing, through the years, I had bands that wanted me to do more things, but I was in bands that had like four lead singers all the time, you
Wow.
know. So I'd be able to maybe sing, 8 songs or something like that until until finally when I got my own band started, which was called Zane's Way,
Uh-huh.
and I started singing things that I never thought I could sing before. I started singing ballads. I started singing, I was singing Unchained Melody. I was singing Gary Puckett songs.
Wow.
And it's like, man, I never did that before, and
Really?
I kind of, yeah. And it just all came, and
Well, God created you
it,
for a purpose, brother, and I think you're fulfilling that now.
he did. He did. And it's amazing. But I tell people I never thought I'd ever be a vocalist. And it's worked out well for me because there's a lot of guitar players around. But I've got more gigs being a guitar player and vocalist.
Well, you
Yeah.
also have that high range. I mean, are you singing all the top parts with the Buckinghams?
Yeah. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much. Some of the parts, some of the high parts, Nick singing falsetto, but
Uh-huh.
he always did that. So I'm singing some of the middle stuff, but then I'm singing some of the other high stuff, head voice. Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
my guest back in 2021, one of my guests on Jam and Java was Dennis Tufano. And of
Yeah.
course,
Great.
the audience, if they don't know, Dennis Tufano was the original lead singer for the Buckinghams. Let me go see here. I've got some. Well, can you tell people about Dennis Tufano?
Funny guy,
Yeah, yeah.
very talented, and he's quick-witted, and he's great on stage. Because before I joined the Buckinghams, I did shows with Sonny. I did a lot with Dennis because Dennis came on, doing shows with Sonny Geraci from The Outsiders.
Uh-huh.
So I did a lot of shows with Dennis, and we became close friends and stuff. And I think we probably did that. Probably played with him for maybe 3 years doing shows like that. And then I got the call from the Buckinghams, and Sonny always told me, he says, "You're good." He says, "You're going to get better offers. I can only afford to pay you this much."
Wow.
And he says, "You're going to get other offers." And it's funny because at a show that I was at, I think I got a call right there from Carl, and he offered me the job right there.
An offer that you couldn't refuse, huh?
Well, yeah, the money went up, and the work was a little more, and I didn't have to drive 4 hours to Cleveland, so I only have to drive 2 hours to Chicago now, and we fly out of there.
Well, I know what it's like to work for an Italian too, and Carl is an Italiano, right?
Yeah, and so is Sonny.
Yeah.
For some reason, I'm hooked up with all these Italians.
Been the story of my life. By the way, a buddy of mine, and I think a buddy of yours, Paul Holland from the association, who was on here a few weeks ago, is on. It's great to see you and Dave and Robbie, and just did a show with Dennis last night. Wow.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's great. Dennis is. I'm Polish. I'm full Polish too. So Dennis is part Polish. And I'm finding out quite a few of the Italian guys are half Polish too. Pete Cetera
is that
from
right?
Chicago. Yeah.
Well, talking about that Chicago scene, and I want to really kind of lean into that whole scene. And I did, as I was mentioning, Dennis was my guest here a few years ago, and I pulled out a clip from that show, and he talks about that scene back then, and basically how the Buckinghams got their start. So why don't we take a look at this this interview with Dennis Tufano from 2021.
Cool.
Here it goes.
He was the lead singer of one of the biggest groups ever to come out of Chicago. That group is called the Buckinghams. They had some amazing hits, and you know all the hits. Kind of a Drag, Susan, Mercy, Mercy, Don't You Care, on and on and on. And I am so pleased, I'm so excited to have him as our guest tonight. Dennis Tufano, hello there. Welcome to Jam and Java. Well, tell us about the Chicago scene in the 60s, because you were in the midst of all that. What a cool music scene.
It was great. It was so inspiring that, John Polis, the drummer who started the Buckinghams, him and I used to play out in the suburbs of Chicago. We'd play in our little band, and we would go down to Rush Street. And we would listen to all the great bands that were playing down in Rush Street. And there was all kinds of great people there. It was like The Exceptions, which was a great band. And out of that band came Marty Greb, our keyboard player, and also Peter Cetera played bass in that band. And so we used to see these guys. And then Terry Cat was in a group called The Missing Links. And some of the horn players, Walter Perez was also in that group. And Danny Seraphin was in that group. And they all started to circulate and become these other big bands. So we heard some of the best music in the world.
Tell me about Kind of a Drag.
We were doing a Dick Clark tour, touring on the tour. We were the local bands in Chicago at the Chicago Stadium. And we would play in the afternoon, and then the big acts would play at night. And we played in the afternoon, and the guy who managed was Carl Bonfetti at the time. He knew Jim Hovey, who was a writer. So he went up to him, and Jim was in actually it was mostly the Mob, his band was called, but he was also the Dick Clark house band.
They were a rocking group back in those days in Chicago.
They were an unbelievable R&B group, yeah. They were the first horn band I ever heard. So Jim said, yeah, I have a couple of songs that I wrote that probably won't be suitable for our group. He said, but why don't I record them for you? So we put them on a little 2-inch tape. There was an acoustic guitar up in the hotel room in Chicago. And then we got the tape and we listened to it, and it was Kind of a Drag. So we started working on it, and we were very excited because we had an original song, and we were doing covers most of the time. So It turned out to be, a really good record, and we went to Chess Records to record it. And but the sound was so unusual, and there was something special and magical. And Ron Malo was the engineer, and he made everything happen. Took those 8 tracks and filled them the best he could. And when you listen to that record real close, you can hear every single note of every instrument. I don't know how he did that on 8 tracks.
Wasn't there an interesting story when the record was released? You guys got released, right?
Yeah. Well, the record company wasn't really crazy about the record. They were trying to pull all of our upbeat songs off of the tracks that we had recorded. And we kept saying, we play the song live and the audience stops dancing and they stand in front of the stage and watch us. There's something going on here. And they said, it's too slow, it's this and that. And so they wouldn't release the song until finally the contract was up and they had to release the song. So they did with no fanfare, and they released us from the contract. And then the song just went out there all by itself. Now, I say all by itself because the record company didn't have any promotion for it.
Right.
But the radio stations in Chicago, Dick Biondi on WLS and all those Art Roberts and all the other guys, they played our regional records, So as soon as Kind of a Drag hit them, they just went nuts on it. And that's what really took off. So that was November of 66.
Uh-huh.
And by February of 67, it was #1 with a bullet. Uh-huh. So there we were, no manager, no record label, no keyboard player, and a #1 record. And so we were kind of depressed, and we're sitting in Nick Fortuna's basement, the bass player.
Uh-huh.
And John Polish came in with Billboard magazine. And he goes, "Hey, you want to see something really weird?" And we went, "What is it? What is it?" And he threw Billboard Hot 100 in front of us, and we were #1 with a bullet. And it just blew our minds. We were so frozen for a second, thinking we have nothing to follow this up with. We don't have a full band or management or a record label. What are we going to do?
Isn't that wild?
Great story. Yeah. And Nick, when Nick, the bass player, Nick Fortuna, Nick, he just told me a while ago, he says, when we recorded Kind of a Drag, I was only playing bass for a couple months.
Is that right? Wow.
Because he started out as a guitar player, he was in a band with Carl right before the Buckinghams, and it was called, what is the name of it? He hates the name too. I can't think of it right off. But yeah, so I mean, then that song went to #1, and he only been playing bass for a couple months, but yeah.
And that song is really the song that started it all for the Buckinghams, right?
And it was the only #1. One. I mean, all the other ones charted, within the top 10, but that was the only #1. Yeah.
I know that in the year 1967, the Buckinghams had 5 top 20 records. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
Lot of
It definitely is. And I'm lucky. There was a time where I was on stage with all the original members except for the drummer that passed earlier. But we did there was a benefit for Marty Greb. Marty had cancer at the time, and so everybody got together. Dennis came in, so there was the keyboard. Marty was a keyboard player, and Carl, the original guitar player, Nick, the bass player, and Dennis, the original singer. And since John was gone, guess who they brought in to play drums? Another Chicago guy, Danny
Seraphin, yes.
Yeah.
Who our buddy Sarah Nimitz is touring with now, of course,
Oh, yeah. Oh, she does a great job with them, too. Oh, she's awesome. Yeah.
So
I got to tell her.
Yeah. So here, what was I going to ask you? Oh, well, let's play that song. I've got a clip of you guys doing it with, and this is with Dennis singing. So check this out, everybody. This is the song that started it all for the Buckinghams.
Kind of a drag when your baby don't love you. Kind of a drag when you know she's not untrue. Oh, listen to me when I speak and go to what I gotta say. I know that you can go and
All right. Rockin', and man, the vocals sound great too. You guys all
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, yeah. Dennis Quite, what a performer, He's just a natural,
Yeah, he is. No question about it.
definitely.
So I wanted to ask you then that that was not a Buckingham show, I don't think, per se. Wasn't that the Cornerstone of Rock thing?
Yeah, that's a cornerstone of rock. And I noticed the horn players were the Ides of March horn players.
Uh-huh.
So, and that's who does the Cornerstones gig with us. It's when we started out, it was Ides of March, the Buckinghams, Jimmy Sands with the Shadows
Uh-huh.
of Night, and it was the Crying Shames and the New Colony Six. And now Jimmy's gone. Jimmy Sands has passed,
Uh-huh.
and so it's just the four of us now. But I don't know where our horn players were on that one.
Well, that was
I
probably
don't know.
that was
Yeah.
and of course our mutual friend Scott May is in the
Yep.
Ides of March. Of course, the Ides of
Yeah.
March are led by Jim Peterick. Tell the
Right.
audience about Jim Peterick, if you would.
Man, how many songs has Jim
I
Peterick
know.
wrote? He's co-wrote like all the hits for 38 Special, all the ones for Survivor. He wrote Eye of the Tiger,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then the Ides of March songs, Vehicle, and uh, you know, great guy, great God-loving man. And I just seen him not yesterday, the day
Well,
before yesterday, because we did a show in Waukegan with the Ides of March. It was the Ides of March and the Buckinghams,
well,
and
it's
yeah.
funny that you would say that because I actually have a clip of that show.
Okay.
This is you guys on stage when I think Jim brought you and Nick out.
Yeah, yeah, for the encore with Eye of the Tiger. Yeah,
Well, let me play that for
yeah,
the audience. So, yeah.
cool.
So, Jim Peterick is part of that whole, definitely that Chicago scene, those guys growing up. And
Yeah.
here's you guys just the other night. This is what, Friday, Saturday night? I don't know. You tell me.
It's Sunday. It was Sunday.
Wow. You mean
Yeah,
yesterday? Not yesterday.
yeah, yeah. I
Wow.
guess
Well,
it
here it is. Check it out. Very, very cool.
We've
I
all got to be good friends. We've done so many of those shows, and they sell out every time
uh
around Chicago. They just people keep coming. They've seen the show so many times, they keep coming
Is
back.
that right?
It's
Here,
amazing. Yeah.
here's a picture of the Ides of March back in the old days.
Wow.
That's the early
I,
guys.
I I heard stories that what was it, that they had to wear wigs that because
Is that right?
because they couldn't have their hair long at school or something like
Uh-huh.
that. So yeah, yeah.
And here's another. Well, there's Jim and I at I
Oh,
can't remember where that was. There's my buddy, my hero, Mark Stein, and Jim Peterick and I.
yeah. Oh, Mark's great too. Carl and I got to see Vanilla Fudge playing a small club in I think it was called Viper Alley. It's
Wow.
not there anymore, but
Uh-huh.
Carl got invited and he asked me if I wanted to go, and we spent a lot of time in the dressing room with him, and that was the first time I met Mark, and it's like, man, the guy looks great, man. I mean,
He looks
and he
unbelievable,
just
and he sings his tail
oh
off, man. And his
yeah,
playing, everything. He's like
I
unbelievable.
know.
And
I know.
there's our
There,
mutual
Scott.
friend.
Yeah, Scott May.
And
Yep.
for the audience, if you don't know, the jammers who watch this, they know. But Scott May is the artist liaison for Hammond Organ, and so and he's a dear, dear friend. As a matter of fact, he got on stage with us when we played. We played over at the Arcada Theater with our band with the Route 66 band.
Oh yeah.
So a few
Great
months.
place.
Oh yeah.
Ron
You must have
Onesti,
played.
yeah.
You've played Ron Onesti's.
Oh.
Ron is a good friend, but you've played there a zillion times, I imagine, right?
It's my home away from home. I
I
played there
guess.
with the Crying Shames. I played there with the Outsiders. And with the Drifters. I mean, yeah, a bunch of them. And I've seen some really cool shows there. Uh, yeah, he brings in everybody. I mean, any kind of genre he brings in.
And he's
It's
amazing. I don't know where he gets the energy. I mean,
I
because
know.
he's always juggling so many things at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you. I bet you don't know who this is. Not the
Is that Jim
not
Holvey?
It is. Touche.
You know
Yeah,
what?
you win the prize. Good for you, man.
Well, no, you had him on earlier when you were
Uh-huh.
talking when Dennis was talking about him. But you know what? I never met Jim.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I've ever met him.
Is he
You
still
know,
alive? Do we know that? I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah, I'm not sure where he's living. I think he's living in Florida. I'm just guessing. I have met the original manager,
Uh-huh.
Carl Bonifetti.
Oh, I remember because I was playing up in Chicago back in those days a little bit too.
Uh-huh.
Was a little late, and I remember Carl Bonifetti, and I remember Bill Trout was another big guy in the
I remember
music.
that name.
We were,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, our band. I wonder if I have. I'm going to go back to these old days. So this is what Rush Street was like back in those days. And our band played up here. Well, we played there at that place, Rush Up. There was Rush Up, and across the street was Rush Over. Now, this is probably before your time.
Yeah, and Nick Fortuna after the Buckinghams, he used to play on Rush Street a lot with a band called Crystal
Uh-huh.
with uh, Billy Corgan Sr. So Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins,
Uh-huh.
that was his dad.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
now that you mentioned, I remember hearing something about that.
yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
Rush Street was
Oh,
like
Nick might have
the
played.
happening place with clubs just lined up one after another. And here's the band that we had called Seven, and we were actually signed to Curtis
wow.
Mayfield's label. And it was
Cool.
really, really a good band. But it all fell apart, as bands do. And
Well, back in those days, you're playing, 6 nights a week, and man,
Yeah.
the bands could really tighten up. You had good members, and it, those days are gone.
yeah,
I
this
mean,
band,
yeah.
what happened with us is the guitar player and the singer got into a fist fight on the stage, and then that was the end of the band, basically.
That's never good.
Never
Yeah.
good. But there are the exceptions, and Dennis mentioned those. That's
Yeah,
that
Pizzatera
yeah, and
playing the
who's-
Beatle bass.
And there's the Mob. I remember that band.
Yeah.
There was also I remember bands around that area. The Mods were a band,
Yeah.
a buddy of mine was playing with the Mods, and then one of our drummers was Baby Huey and the Babysitters, his drummer. And
Nick Fortuna played with Baby Huey for a while
is
too.
that right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the show that right there that Dennis was on with me back in 2021. There's the Ides of March again, and then Jim Peterick. Well, talking about
Yeah.
Jim Peterick, he was also my guest on Jam and Java, and I've got a little clip of an interview I think might be interesting because he goes back into those Chicago days of. It's funny. So many of those bands had horns too.
Yeah.
Of course, the epitome of that is.
And all the, I'm sorry,
No,
all
go
the
ahead.
all the Buckingham songs all had those horns,
Yeah.
But back in the day, they didn't play live with any horns,
Well, I can understand that.
and it's
Yeah.
like wow. So I asked how they do that, and he said, "Well, Marty played." I
Yeah.
don't even think they had synthesizers
No,
back
no, they
then.
didn't
So
in the '60s. Nope.
No. So, I just played some of the horn lines on keyboards too.
Um, well, here we'll go back in the back. Well, this is pretty fun actually. Jim Peterick. Here we go.
Yeah.
Please welcome to Jam and Java, Mr. Jim Peterick.
You even said it right, Robbie. I can't believe it. Nice being on your show, man. Thank you. I said, this is Jim Peterick. Is this really Sylvester Stallone? Hey, Jimbo, call me Sly,
Wow.
So here's the kid from Berwyn talking to my hero. I was already a huge Rocky fan from Rocky 1 and 2.
Sure.
He said, I really like your band Survivor, and I want something like that for my new movie, Rocky 3,
Tell us about coming up in the Chicago area there in those days.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the 60s was, for me, the heyday of Chicago rock.
Absolutely.
In fact, you may know that we do a review called Cornerstones of Rock with the real pivotal bands from the 60s and early 70s. Ides of March, Crying Shames, New County 6, Shadows of Night, Buckingham's, of course, number one.
Of course.
And we do reviews. We in the Ides of March generally back up all the bands except the Buckinghams. They bring their own band. They're self-contained. But those were golden days, and we all got along. It wasn't a rivalry like screw you. No, it was like we're buddies.
Yeah.
Everyone got along. Everybody was rooting for the other guy. That's the way it should be.
Tell us about Scott May.
We kind of broke up for a while, and when we got back together in 1990, who do we get for keyboards? And Danny Hagedorn of DJ's Music says there's only one guy, Scott May. 32 years later, he's our guy.
Wow. Scott and I are great buds, of course.
Cool.
And hey, Jim, you got your guitar there. Why not do us a tune? What do you think?
Oh, man. You know what? Just for you, I'm going to do it.
All right.
Hey, well, I'm the friendly stranger in the black sedan. Won't you hop inside my car? I got Texas got candy, I'm a lover man, and I can take it to the nearest stop. I'm your vehicle, baby. I take it anywhere you want to go. I'm your vehicle, woman. By now, I'm sure you know that I love you. I need you. I want to have your child. Great God in heaven, you know I love you. And I'm your vehicle, baby. Oh, yeah. Great God in heaven, you know I love you. Ba-da-ba-ba-da.
That's
Very
great.
cool.
I've seen him do that,
bet
solo at a few different things. Some bookstores that we used to do, earlier when I was with the Crying Shames, actually. But what was I going to say? It's that amazing listen to that recording, that original recording of that. He was like 16 years old, and
Is that
man, listen
right?
to that
Wow.
voice. It's like that's hard to believe, that somebody have a deep voice like that, and that he was only that young. And there's another band that sounded like that, and that was the Box Tops
Oh, really?
on the Letter.
Uh-huh.
Alex
yes,
Chilton.
that's right. That
Give
guy.
me a ticket for an airplane, and he he was like 16 too when he
Is
recorded
that
that.
right? Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah, some of these
I don't know
guys.
how they did it.
Well, what's his name too? With Spencer Davis Group, Stevie Winwood, of course.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
also another like the epitome of all that kind of stuff. Here is again.
Great
We
singer.
talked about Jim Holvey, who was the writer of that of Kind of a Drag. That organ,
Just about all of them.
yeah, that organ solo in Kind of a Drag. I've played that 1,000 times when I was a teenager. Man, that was such an iconic organ sound. There's that first album. No, not the first album, but it's one of the earlier albums, I guess.
Yeah. I like that album, by the way. Yeah. What else is on? Yeah.
And there's another picture
Look
of
at
the old
that.
guys. But I've also got some pictures of.
There's the new ones.
There's the new ones. Yep.
Yeah.
So left to right, of course, you, Dave Zane. Who's the gentleman next to you?
That's Bruce Soberoff, keyboards.
Okay. I don't know
And
him. I
then,
should try to. I'd like to meet him.
no, yeah.
And
Yeah,
then that's
you will.
Carl in the middle.
Carl Giammarese, he was original guitar player.
And
Yeah.
then, of course,
And
next to him is
Nick
Nick, right?
Nick Fortuna, yeah, bass, and then our drummer Tommy Shekel.
And all those guys. The band sounds so great. You guys just
Oh,
rock.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Tommy was with the band for like 30 years, and he had the opportunity to go off and join Paul Revere. So
Oh,
he
I
was with
love
Paul
Paul
Revere.
Revere and the Raiders. They were a big
He,
influence on me too.
yeah, he was with them for well. When I joined the band, I told Carl, I says, when he offered me the gig, I go, oh man, I could play with Tommy. He goes, well, and that well was Tommy just left to join, to go with Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Wow.
And then he was with them for like 14, 15 years. And, Paul got sick and passed. And Paul's wife
Yeah, of
was
course.
keeping the band going, and she ended up pulling the plug. So there's no more. They were just calling themselves Paul Revere's Raiders.
Uh-huh.
So Tommy came back. Yeah.
You seem to have a bent for purple coats. Is that I see you in purple quite a bit. Is that true?
That's a lot of the fans, seem to like the purple for some reason. I don't know, And I wear dark purple and some lighter purple, but I switch it around. Like the other picture you can see, I'm wearing yellow, But I'm always some I'm wearing pink jackets,
Well,
But
colorful then, right? You're not afraid to dress up on stage.
not at all.
There's you came to our
There
show
we
and
are.
hung out, and that's you and
Oh, what
your
a show!
beautiful bride.
That's Sandy. Yeah, yeah. Um, that was an awesome show, man. Thank you so much for that.
Well, hopefully we'll
I
see
can't.
you soon. Coming soon. We're playing somewhere in the Indiana in a couple weeks or a few
Yeah, you're
weeks, right?
playing in Shipshewana. Yeah, Shipshewana. It's a big Amish town, but it's
Wow.
a great theater. Have you ever played that theater before?
I don't
It's
remember it. Tell you through. I didn't
yeah,
realize that Frankie had a big Amish audience. You know.
yeah. It's it's a great theater, and I know everybody there because I go to so many shows there, and then I've been playing there for the last 3 years with the Buckinghams and stuff.
Uh-huh.
We're finally doing that, but you'll love it. You'll love
I'm looking
everybody
forward to it.
that's there. Yeah, me too.
How was it? How did you like meeting Frankie? Was that the first time you had ever met Frankie Valli?
Yeah, it was, and I thought it was going to be just short. I thought it was just going to be high and
Yeah.
something like that. And you told me just wait here by the dressing room and I'll call you in. And you called us in, and man, we spent like a good 20 minutes or so talking, and it was great. I didn't expect that, but he
Well,
was so
he's a
welcoming.
fan of the music business too, and of all the groups. And one of the groups that he was a fan of course, is the Buckinghams. You know.
Wow. Yeah, that's something because Nick Fortuna tells me that they worked a lot with the
Yeah.
Four Seasons way back,
And we worked together since I've been with Frankie. We have played with the Buckinghams, but this predates you, I think. So this
Yeah.
would have been back in the 80s and 90s, maybe.
I'm going on 16 years now. Yeah.
And there's
Oh, there's
Nick.
Danny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nick and Danny came to our show in Vegas and hung out. That was a lot of fun.
You hardly ever see Nick smiling in a picture, and
Oh,
now you got
really?
two in a row.
Well, he
That's
had to.
crazy.
He was talking to the Godfather, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
That's good. That's a great picture
And
there.
there's a great picture you and
Oh,
Frank,
that's
you and Frankie with a big smile.
yeah. Yeah.
There you are, Rocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jim
See?
Samaria, I know he is from the that photographer. He's a great photographer from the Arcata.
Yeah, he is. As far as the color that I wear, and a lot of times I try to color coordinate what
Uh-huh.
guitar I'm using
Very cool.
with the colors I'm wearing. When let's see, when I got my own band together, my my band was wearing, they were like wearing all black and a black vest and a white shirt. And I remember somebody came into the club and goes, "Oh, this is a country band." And it's like, wait a minute. No, we're not
Oh,
yet.
that's
And my
funny.
wife goes, you guys really got to start, you got to start putting some color on stage, you know?
Yeah.
And
Frankie, and
she
I'll tell you
kind of,
what, Frankie is a
yeah,
stickler for dressing up on stage. He says you don't want to
yeah.
look like you just worked on your car, you know?
No, no, that's, I always believe that too, you know, and people like that. I
Well,
think they do, you know.
we've heard your voice
Yeah,
on some of these videos. I want the audience to hear a little bit of you rocking out on guitar. And one of the songs that I was intrigued that you guys do in your set, I guess, is "Make Me Smile" by Chicago.
yeah,
Well, here's a
yeah.
little clip of you
That gives
rocking
me a
out on
chance.
guitar. Check it out.
All right.
Children play in the park, they know I'm alone in the dark, you know. Now I need you, yeah, more than ever, yeah, yeah. No more crying.
You're rocking there, brother.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's at a small place, and I think we're the only band that isn't a tribute band that plays at that place. It's
Uh-huh.
called the Belfry Theater, and it's a converted it's a converted old Mormon church.
Where is it? What city? In
It
Chicago?
it's in no, it's in Wisconsin. It's in
Huh.
Lake Delavan, Wisconsin.
Uh-huh.
And they've,
Wow.
you know, we've been playing there every year since we started playing there. So we've probably been there for, you know, playing there for like 6 years in a row or something like that. Now they bring us in for Christmas. You know, we'll do a Christmas show, and sometimes they just bring us in for 2 nights in a row. And it's a really small theater. It looks, you know, from
Yeah.
looking at that, it looks like it's pretty big, you know. But it's, you know, one guy's running sound and lights, you know. I mean,
Wow.
he does a great job. You know, that sounded pretty good.
That's that. You were rocking there, that's for sure.
Yeah,
So you're
thank you.
not just a singer, you are a rock guitar player too. What do you prefer doing, singing or playing?
Oh,
Tough question,
that's a
isn't it?
good one. That's a good one. I like it both, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I love singing, you know. Um, Singing's a little more personal, I think, you know. It's
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, I get compliments on both. So, you know, I mean,
Well,
I'm
keep
happy
rocking
that
because you
the
haven't
people
lost a
enjoy
step,
it.
man. You are rocking big time. Um, you know, there was a song called "Bend Me, Shape Me" that I think. Do you guys do that in your set, or I saw you
We do.
performing that?
We do it in our set, and we also do it as an encore for the Cornerstones show, because in the
Ah,
original Cornerstones that we recorded, um, the Cornerstones thing with WTTW,
aha.
the original one, actually they brought uh, Rick Derringer in for that.
Is that
They
right?
brought in the
Wow.
Standells in for that,
Very cool.
and actually they got the American Breed back together, and that was the last time the American Breed played.
The American Breed,
Yeah.
let's talk about that band a minute for the audience,
Okay.
because the American Breed, they were one of the early bands of that Chicago sound, very similar, not very similar, but it definitely, let me back up a minute. I've always
Okay.
contended that in the particularly in the 60s and maybe and into the 70s, every city almost had a sound. I mean, I can tell people, groups from St. Louis, groups from Memphis, groups from New York, groups from L.A., groups from Chicago, and every city kind of had their own sound. And that mid-60s Chicago sound, which was probably Chicago, the band Chicago is probably the ultimate purveyor of that particular sound. But the Buckinghams, Ides of March, New Colony 6, the American Breed, so many of those bands. And then there were the other bands like, I think we talked about the Shadows of Night. They didn't have the horns, but that was still that Chicago sound. Baby, well, we mentioned Crying Shames, too. Who are some of the other groups that can you remember some of those groups? I mean, we talked about the Mob, and that was one of the early groups that seemed to be inspirational to a lot of these groups that then had major success.
Yeah. I wasn't aware of the Mob. Of course, I'm from the South Bend area,
right?
So I'm a good 2.5 hours away from Chicago. So I missed out, on a lot of the stuff till I joined.
Well, and you're a little too young for that too, but just a pinch. Now but the group we're talking about, the American Breed, that had "Bend Me, Shake Me," that you guys do in the show.
Yeah. I talk to the original drummer all the time, Lee Graziano. He's great.
Oh,
very
cool.
You see old videos of him playing drums with a trumpet, and he's actually playing on some of that stuff too. Yeah,
wow.
But he's great. Yeah, and Al Siner, the guitar player, he went on after that band. He played guitar for Three Dog Night in like 75 and 76. Yeah, he toured with him.
Then that band, well, it was the American Breed, but then when they broke up, a couple of the people left and started the band Ask Rufus.
And they did, yeah.
That later became, now we played with that band that I was talking about earlier. The band was called Seven. And Irving Azoff used to book our gigs, interestingly enough. But we were playing at Rush Street, and there were two stages. They faced each other, and the bands rotated. One band played, then the other band played. And the other band was Ask Rufus. And the lead singer for Rufus, and they later became Rufus, was Shaka Khan. But the singer at the time was a girl named Paulette McWilliams, who's a friend of mine. I heard about her. And she lives out here now and has become my friend. Huh. We played with them, I remember. And then Kevin Murphy was the keyboard player who went on to become with Rufus, in those bands. And then they had a obviously major success. But back to that song, Bend Me, Shape Me, which from the American Breed, you guys do that. And I have a great clip of you doing that. I want to play that here for the audience. Okay. This is Nick, not Nick. This is Dave Zane singing Bend Me, Shape Me with the Buckingham. Actually, this might be Cornerstones of Rock. You tell me.
You gotta stay alive.
So
Yeah,
that was the what? Oh gosh, what is it? It's Jim
the
Jim
encore
Peterick's thing.
for the Cornerstone show.
Now, can you tell?
Yeah.
I mean, there were a bunch of people from a lot of different groups there. Can you tell? Do you
Yeah.
remember seeing who those were?
Yeah, it was actually right next to me was Jim Pilster, which was J.C. Hook from.
Oh,
He was
really?
sharing the mic. He was sharing the mic with. That was him sharing the mic with Dennis
I did not
Stefano.
realize
Yeah,
that. I didn't even notice if
yeah,
he had the hook.
yeah.
He still has
Well,
the.
that hook was donated to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Chicago, which
Is
is
that
no
right?
longer there. So
Tell the
he
audience
stopped
about
wearing
him
that hook a
then,
long time.
J.C. Hook. I mean, because he had a real persona back in the '60s, because he literally had a hook, didn't he? Like Captain Hook.
Yeah, he was like the court jester of that band,
Ah,
because on the albums it said J.C. Hook, tambourine and cowbell or something like that.
wow. But he
Yeah.
was
So
was he the lead singer, or no? He was one of the
no, no,
singers.
no, no. I don't think
Okay,
that. I don't even know how much he actually sang,
is
but
that
he
right?
he he yeah he was like the court jester, man. He was,
Wow.
he had a lot of energy, and he had
Uh
his
huh.
his shtick with his you know he was born without a full hand, so
Uh huh.
they used that as the hook, and they had a regular hook, and it was pretty cool how they did that. But I've got to know Tom Duty fairly, real well
Uh huh.
actually, and he's told me a lot of stories about the Crying Shames, and I've done quite a few shows with him too.
Who
When I
was he?
was
One
with
of the
them.
guys on that on that stage?
No, he doesn't do well.
What other bands were represented
Actually,
on that stage besides
he
Buckingham's?
might have been. He might have been there.
Uh huh.
I think he was there on the others on towards the right side.
Of course, our buddy
Well,
Scott
would
May
be
was up there
left on stage.
playing.
He might have been around Scott May there. Yeah,
Ah, gotcha.
yeah. But he sang just about all the lead vocals for the Crying Shames. That's him. Tom Duty.
Very
Another
cool.
another really strong Christian man.
I love it.
Yes.
I love to get to meet all the brothers and sisters in our business. That's for sure.
Me too. Me
And you're
too.
one of them. And you and I would love to do some music with you. We have to do something some point down the
I'd
road.
love to do that. To name the time and place, and I'll be there.
You rock, man. You sound
Yeah.
great singing. You sound great playing.
Thank you.
And you've got just your filled music just oozes out of you, and that's what I love about you too.
Uh, God gave me some talent, man. I'm using it, and uh, all glory goes to Him. Gary Puckett says that after every single show, and I believe Tommy James does too.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I know
So there you
Gary's
go.
a big. I've had him on my show before too. He's
Wonderful guy.
great singer, great, and still rocking and rolling. So you guys are coming now. You're on this cruise coming up, right?
Yes. Yeah. The Flower Power Cruise.
Do you know who else is
I'm
on that?
actually. Oh gosh. Um, who isn't on it?
Yeah.
um, uh, yeah, I know the Grassroots are on it. I believe Mickey Dolenz, Family Stone,
Wow.
um, Colin Blunstone from
Oh yeah.
yeah,
From Ringo's
um,
band, right? Isn't he in Ringo's band
from
too?
from the Zombies, and I
Oh, I'm thinking of a different guy
he's
then. Yeah.
yeah that's Colin Hay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he's the original singer for the Zombies.
Wow.
Colin Blunstone. Yeah. Um, May Pang is going to be there.
Is that
Yeah.
right? Wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I just got done watching watching her documentary. It's pretty good.
Wow.
It's called The Lost Weekend. They're in John.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so let's see. I think the Beach Boys are on it.
Wow.
But you know who just retired? I think Mike Love's the only original that's still there
Exactly. Yeah,
because
Bruce Johnston, who's also been on
Bruce,
my
yeah,
show, but Bruce
yeah,
retired. Yes,
he did.
just
Yeah.
last week I think it was, And
Yeah.
he's gonna now. The way I understand it, though, I talked to him. He's retiring from the road, but not every gig. He's still gonna go do a handful of gigs. So. And
maybe he'll do the
producing.
cruise.
Maybe.
The only thing about this cruise is that they got so many bands.
Yeah.
That like us, we're on the first part of the cruise on the first 4 days, and then they'll fly us off and then fly in the new the bands
round,
for the other half. Yeah. So I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss the Family Stone because they have the original sax player that started it out with Sly. Yeah. And
well, listen, my friend, I have kept you way longer than I told you I was, so I appreciate.
I could keep going as long as you want.
No, we need to wrap it up because we're
Okay.
actually. But thanks so much, Dave ZANE. Thanks for coming on Jam and Java. You are a great human being, a great musician, and a great friend. So it's great to have you on, brother.
Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough, and God bless you and all the fans out there and everybody watching your show because, hey,
Amen. Well, rock
we
and roll,
always
brother.
have to give it to them.
And I'm gonna segue out with a couple more of the Buckingham hits. So God's big blessings to you and your wife. And I will see you next time, brother. Take care.
Okay. We'll see you in Shipshawana.
Yes. David ZANE, everybody. All right. Okay, we've got a couple more Buckingham hits here. Check this out. We'll segue away from this, and if I can find it, here it is.
If you don't want me, why don't you tell me? Instead of running around with all the other guys in town, can't you see you're hurting me? Don't you care? Don't you care? Hey baby, they're playing our song, the one they used to play when we used to get along. Hey baby, they're playing our song, let's get back together where we belong. Made us feel like dancing, gave us time to think about romancing. Susan, looks like I'm losing my mind, I'm wasting my time. Susan, do you have to be confusing? I ask myself why you're saying goodbye. Kind of a drag when your baby don't love you. Kind of a drag when you know she's been untrue.
Well, what a great night this was with Dave ZANE. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and hanging out with us and learning a little bit about the history of rock and roll, particularly the history of Chicago rock and roll. And that's all comes from the Buckinghams and the Crying Shames, the New Colony Six, and, of course, the band Chicago. So God's big blessings to each and every one of you. Thanks again for spending some time with me. And don't forget to go out there and you can sign up for my email list and go out there and check out some of the past shows. But I will see you all next Monday. Oh, don't forget next Monday is the big party because next week is Doc Kupka's birthday bash, and Doc's going to be in the studio with me. So again, God's big blessings to each and every one of you. Thanks so much, everybody.
Let there be peace on earth and let speaking.